Welcome back, it's Mr. Saho, and here that joins us next is a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, the ministers have come on board. Already, I see some lawyers talking about the president retaining the Minister of Petroleum Resources. They say, they refer us to Section 138, which says that the president shall not, during his tenure of office, hold any other executive office or paid employment in any capacity whatsoever. What does this mean?
I must say to you that I do not think that the president has done anything wrong by retaining the substantive ministerial appointment of Petroleum, because actually all the other members of the cabinet are actually holding their office at the pleasure of the president. They are supposed to be his deputies, as it were. He is the one that is elected. It is for him to make up his mind based on Section 147 as to how many ministries he will want and how he will wish that he will drive his policies and programs for which the Nigerian people have voted for him, not the ministers.
I see, the Minister of Solid Minerals, he was talking yesterday about how the country has got tremendous wealth and how they could tap from that. But then if you go through the manifesto of the party, they talk about amending the Land Use Act, which is one area they think they could also do something about such that they can actualize their policies in that sector. How much of a task do you think that would be if they were to go ahead and amend it?
That would be a huge task. For me, I think that whatever it is that applies to the people in the Niger Delta, the crude oil that is found in that area is exploited and explored by the government, the federal government, and it forms part of the revenue of the federal government. What happens in those areas where you have some solid minerals, Plateau State and the rest of it, is that most of those solid minerals are actually being mined by individuals, and they keep the proceeds.
That's against the law.
Oh, that is what most of them, that is what they do. Whereas a lot of attention is paid on what happens in the Niger Delta. Oh, bring the crude oil. In fact, the president is now the petroleum minister because of the crude oil. He never thought of becoming the solid minerals minister because of the, manganese, tantalite, and the rest of it that we have in the middle belt, as it were. For me, I think that what should be done, what is already being done to the crude oil from the Niger Delta is what should be done to the solid minerals in the middle belt and, of course, in some other areas of the country.
Let's bring it to your area, which is looking at the judiciary. Now we have a substantive Minister of Justice, and every time issues are brought up, a lot of times, even before now, people go, we don't have an AGF, we don't have a Minister of Justice, and we're also trying to look at the quick issues for them to fix. If you were to look at that area where you operate from, what would you be looking at from the Minister of Justice?
Thank God that after about 6 months, we now have a Minister of Justice and an Attorney General. I think the program of the President, and of course the APC government, as to tackling corruption, can only be well and effectively done with an Attorney General. There's been cases of corruption here and there. In fact, the president had said that if we do not kill corruption, corruption will kill us. And if that is the case, I think it is long overdue that we had a Minister of Justice to drive that process, to drive the process of bringing people to justice. And of course, the president and of course the APC has also said that for the past 16 years, we've had a government in power that has possibly run down the economy, that has looted funds. And of course, you need an Attorney General to go after those people, not only Jonathan's government. If you ask me, I would rather have a wholesome fight against corruption, beginning from as far back as 1999, and it should run a whole spectrum. The federal government, the state governments, and everybody. We need an Attorney General to give us that drive to implement the anti-corruption drive of the president.
How should he approach the Administration of Criminal Justice Act?
Yeah, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act is a recent act. I think it became law in May this year. That law is so that already is being practiced, it's being used, I mean, by lawyers in courts, and of course the courts, the judicial, everybody is using it. You know, it's being used right now. I think there is need for a further implementation of those very good things about the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. You know, it talks about a whole lot of things for expeditious trial of cases. In this country today, you hear when a case starts, an anti-corruption case or whatever, you hear when it starts. There's so much, how do I put it now, fanfare in the newspapers, on telly and the rest of it. But you never hear how it ends. I remember some people were charged to court for receiving bribes, some dollars and the rest of it. I remember there was a former Senate president that something happened. I remember a whole lot of things. But you hear when it starts. People are sentenced to several years of imprisonment by the papers, by the press. And all of a sudden it fizzles out. I think what we need is an attorney general that will follow through this process, so that you will ensure that people are not just accused and they just, when they walk the streets, you look at them and, oh, this man, they say he stole billions, and as it were. But you never get to hear what happens at the end of the day.
There's an aspect of that act that also speaks about the relationship between the police and the people, in terms of when you arrest one, you have to read him his rights and let him also know he has a right to act as a lawyer. He can't write or sign, what's that from the sign of the police places again?
Without statement?
Without your lawyer being present. Is that
in fact, there's an aspect of it that talks about you even having a kind of recorded process when you take statements of witnesses. So to show, in fact, you're supposed to film it. You're supposed to record it to be sure that that witness, whatever he has said,
not under duress.
Yes, whatever the witness has said, whatever the accused person had said to the police or to EFCC or to whoever, is so that that is exactly what happened.
Is that happening anywhere?
Well, I cannot vouch for it happening now, but I think it's something that we should do. And I think, of course, it should happen in advanced democracies. Like in America, I think it should happen, because they also have these... No,
I mean, if we're implementing that act.
No, I do not think it is being implemented. A number of cases in court, you find people accusing the police of, forcing them to make statements. You find people accusing EFCC of forcing them to make statements. Most of those statements are not voluntary. Of course, when you get to court, you do a trial within a trial.
Does anybody ever tell the truth voluntarily, though?
You can tell the truth voluntarily if the facts are, presented to you.
Especially when the truth can implicate you.
Oh, you can't tell the truth voluntarily. I can tell you that.